Hello there, very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlene Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And for the Newsfirst team, I'm Hashni Patrana. First up is a look at your headlines for tonight.
Two contentious details regarding the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks were revealed, President says in Gampaha.
වවුනුතු ප්‍රදේශවල අර ජැකට් එක දැම්මේ කවුද? හිමියංකයක් දීලා ගියා FBI ඊට අවසන දුරකථනය කාගේද? ඔයාද?
Pope Francis's funeral to be observed on Saturday. His mortal remains laid at the St. Peter's Basilica. Sacred veneration of the tooth relic of Lord Buddha continues for the 5th day. 80,000 already queued up in Candi for the veneration of the relics tomorrow. A statement from the police. Permanent High Court at bar to hear the case against Kehelia Rambukwella. Attempted murder of a businessman in Nayaka thwarted. One suspect arrested. Ranil attempted to unite with the SJP to make Sagala the mayor of Colombo. Marikar reveals reasons why talks between the parties failed. Adams Bridge sand dunes off Manna reopen for tourists starting 15th of May.
On to those stories in detail now. President Andrakumar of Disan Nayaka today said that details regarding two contentious issues with regard to the investigations into the Easter Sunday attacks have been revealed. The president made this statement during a meeting held in Gampaha today.
A meeting organized as part of the campaign of the National People's Power for the upcoming local government election was held in Gampaha today.
We know that yesterday we passed 6 years since the Easter Sunday attacks. The first 5.5 years since the 21st of April 2019 was used to suppress the investigations into the Easter Sunday attacks. Although it has been 6 years since the attacks, 5 of those years were spent to hide details regarding the incident, to suppress evidence, mislead investigations, and to leave out areas that should definitely be investigated. That is how the investigations were carried out. Although it has been 6 years since the attacks, 5.5 years were spent to suppress the investigations, while it was only during the past 6 months that the investigations were conducted properly. We have results. We have spoken about 6 problematic areas on stages before, and we have resolved 2 of them. Who wore that jacket in Vaunathivu? The FBI gave us an Emmy number. Who does that phone belong to? We have uncovered those details. We will unravel this the way we can. No matter how old these matters are, we ensure that we will do justice for all of these matters.
The Acting Inspector General of Police has appointed a special team led by Senior DIG of the Criminal Investigation Department, Asanka Karavita, to study the extensive report from the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks.
The special team appointed to study the extensive report from the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks consists of DIG Ampavila from the CID, Director of the CID SSP I Muthumala, Director of the TID SSP Kamal Pereira. 5 subcommittees comprising Superintendents of Police and Assistant Superintendents of Police have been formed to analyse the report. The CID has disclosed that the Presidential Commission report on the Easter Sunday attacks spans over 67,400 pages divided into 5 volumes and 87 books. Acting Inspector General of Police Priyantha Veerasooriya has instructed these teams to conduct a thorough review and submit a detailed report. The police have stated that any new findings not previously prosecuted will be forwarded to the Attorney General for further action. Acting Inspector General Veerasooriya has also directed senior officials to provide separate reports on specific issues identified during the review. Under the directive of President Andrakumar of Disan Nayaka, the Presidential Commission report was handed over to the CID last Sunday.
Questions regarding the investigations conducted into the Easter Sunday attack were raised by journalists during the Cabinet media briefing today.
දැන් ජනාධිපතිතුමා ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා මහා මොළකරු 21 වෙනිදාට ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා කියලා. මේ වෙනකන් ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් කිසිම ඕඩුවාවක්වත් නැහැ. දැන් විපක්ෂ නිතරම චෝදනා කරනවා පච ආණ්ඩුවක් කියලා. ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ මේ ප්‍රකාශات එක්ක තවදුරටත් රජය හැල්ලුවට පත් වෙනව නේද? නැත්තම් මේ පොලිස්පතිතුමා ලණුවක් දුන්නද?
මම දන්නේ අයියේ කුල කලබල වෙන්නේ කියලා. අපිට විමර්ශනය කරන්න සිද්ධ වුණේ.
I don't know why they are panicking now. We are investigating this incident against a backdrop where attempts were made to suppress these investigations for about 5.5 years. If proper investigations were carried out during those 6 years, the masterminds and all parties to this conspiracy could have been revealed. During the past 5.5 years, there were cabinet decisions that were taken not to implement certain investigation committee reports. Investigation officers were transferred. Some of them couldn't even remain in the country. Evidence was suppressed. Investigations were misled. It is only during these past 6 months that these investigations are taking place properly. So during that investigation, when details of how these investigations were misled are being revealed, the fact that these people are now panicking could lead to some assertions regarding them. The general public do not have to panic.
සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාව ඒ අය කලබල යුතු නැහැ.
ප්‍රාරය සම්බන්ධයෙන් පිල්ලයන් අත්අඩංගුවට අරගෙන තියෙනවද? එතකොට අපිට මතුවන ගැටලුව තමයි පිල්ලයන්ට 2015 ඉඳන් 2020 වෙනකන් ඇතුලේ හිටියේ. ඉරගෙදර හිටියේ. එහෙමනම් ඔහුව ප්‍රශ්න කරන්න මොකද්ද තියෙන? ඔහුට තියෙන එකම චෝදනාවක් හරි තියෙනවද මේ පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරය සම්බන්ධයෙන්?
පූර්ව නිගමනයකින් එපා. පිල්ලයන් කරපු එකම අපරාධය.
Do not assume that the only crime committed by Pillayan is the kidnapping of a professor of the Eastern University. There are several other charges. There were some details that were revealed even before that. While he is being questioned under the 90-day detention orders, more details are being revealed. Some of those incidents are connected to each other. Some of those charges are connected to incidents that were tried in high courts. Investigations are being carried out into all of them. Based on those investigations, 2 other suspects have also been arrested. I believe that the investigations are showing satisfactory progress. Let's allow the Criminal Investigations Department to reveal details on who the mastermind is and the number of masterminds behind this. Let's hand that over to the courts. I can tell you that the investigations are being conducted properly. I can't give you specific dates on that.
ඒකට දිනවක් වань මේ වෙලාව කියන්න බෑ.
ඉතින් ආණ්ඩුව අසමත් වුණා. 21 වෙනිදා කලින් යම්කිසි දෙයක් කියන්නම් කියලා. නමුත් සැලකියුතුමක් කියාගන්න බැරි වුණා ජනාධිපතිතුමාට.
ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ආණ්ඩුවට මේක කරන්න බෑ අරක් කරන්න බෑ.
There were some politicians who, using various media networks, said that this government cannot do anything. They can't fix the economy, they have no international relations, and that they cannot ensure national security. But the people of this country trusted us and gave us a mandate. We are acting based on that mandate. So there is no need for anyone to panic. Although people who are directly or indirectly connected to this conspiracy have started to panic, the government will not panic. Let them panic as much as they want. The investigations are being conducted by officers who are experts with experience. These kind of meaningless actions cannot affect these investigations by one bit.
මූලික ප්‍රශ්නයට උත්තරේ හම්බුන්නේ නැහැ. ජනාධිපතිතුමා වගේ ප්‍රකාශයක් කළේ ඇයි? ඊට පස්සේ මේ වාර්තාව දුන්නේ ඇයි? ඒ ප්‍රකාශය කළේ මොන පදනමක් යට ඉඳගෙනද?
ඒ ප්‍රකාශ කිසිම වරදක් නැහැ.
There is nothing wrong in that statement. Certain details are being revealed. The speed in which these details are being revealed is not decided by the President or the government. It is based on the investigation process. The government is providing the facilities required to conduct the investigations. The responsibility of conducting those investigations has been placed completely on those institutions. We hope that at the end of the investigations, those institutions will hand over those details to court as soon as possible.
විශේෂයෙන්ම කාදිනලින් පණන් වහන්සේ යෝජනා 7ක් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න පාස්කු ප්‍රහාර සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඊයේ දිනේදී ඔබතුමාලා මේ යෝජනා 7 පිළිබඳව සැලකිලිමත්ද ඒක අධ්‍යයනය කරාද ඔබතුමාට ඒක ලැබුණාද බැලුවද?
We will announce the stance of the government on that in the future. We have to discuss each of these matters and then we will answer them accordingly.
ඔබතුමා ප්‍රසිද්ධ රැස්වීමකදී කියනවා මේ ප්‍රහාරයට ඉන්දියාව ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ බලයට එම දේශපාලන රැස්වීමක් කරන කතාවක්. අද ඔබ ඇමතිවරයා තාමත් ඔබ ඉන්නවද ඒ ස්ථාවරේ?
විමර්ශනවලට ඉඩ දෙන්න. විමර්ශන වලින්
allow the investigations to continue. The investigations will reveal certain details. We will allow the investigations to determine if the statements that we made were wrong or right. No one needs to panic. All I am saying is do not create unnecessary unrest when these investigations are being conducted properly.
The Attorney General has requested the Chief Justice to appoint a permanent High Court at Bar for the trial against former Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwella over the human immunoglobulin scandal.
The Attorney General's department said that the letter was forwarded to the Chief Justice this morning. Former Minister of Health, Kelly Rambukwala, has been accused of causing billions in losses to the government and putting the lives of patients at risk by the purchase of substandard human immunoglobulin vaccines.
Provisions to constitute a permanent High Court at Bar were introduced through the Judicature Amendment Act No. 9 of 2018. This act aims to institute criminal proceedings for offences listed in the 6th schedule of the Act, having considered the nature and the circumstances of the crime, the gravity, the complexity, the impact on the victim or the impact on the state. The judges are bound to conduct these trials expeditiously unless, in the opinion of the court, exceptional circumstances exist. The case must be heard day to day. Any appeal from any judgment, sentence or order pronounced at a trial held by a permanent High Court at Bar under section must be made within 28 days from the pronouncement of such judgment.
Leader of the House, Minister Bimal Ratnayaka, said that steps were taken to appoint the investigation committee for the removal of Deshabandhu Thennakoon either yesterday or today. Now, he made this statement speaking at a meeting in Mullaitivu. This was the next step that was taken after a resolution was passed in Parliament in this regard.
We promised
you that we will nab all the corrupt thieves and murderers in the country. In Sri Lanka, they always nabbed on the small thieves. None of the big thieves were nabbed. This government has begun investigations to punish the big thieves. Namal, Yoshita and Rajapaksa stole from the entire country, but after having stolen so much of money, Namal had not been even named as an accused in any case. When Yoshita was asked how they purchased a lot of land in a certain area, he said that his grandmother had received bags of gems. Even he had not been named as a suspect. Today, Namal and Yoshita have been named as suspects in these cases. We are creating an environment where the law will be enforced equally against everyone. You know that IGP Deshabandhu was hiding from the police. As far as I know, the Speaker is appointing the committee to investigate and present a report on his removal from office either today or tomorrow. After that committee report is submitted based on the recommendations of that committee, the Parliament will take the next decision.
The People's Struggle Alliance emphasized the urgent need to enforce the law against Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Ranil
Wickremesinghe is someone who must be held accountable for the serious crimes he's committed in this country, from political violence to economic betrayals. What worries us is that the government isn't doing anything meaningful to hold him responsible. Take the bond scam, for example. Nothing has been done. Arjuna Mahendran still hasn't been brought back, and Ranil's role in that case has been quietly swept aside. Or look at the findings of the Batalanda Commission, or even the violence from the 1988-89 period. He's never been properly investigated or charged. Because of this inaction, we are now seeing the return of people and forces the public has already rejected, both during the Aragale and in the last election. They are starting to resurface because justice hasn't been done. When Ranil was supposed to appear before the commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, he dodged it. And now he's stepping in to protect others like Pillayan and Chamra Sampath. It's clear he's not just avoiding accountability, he's actively protecting those involved in corruption. Ranil has taken on the role of protector of the corrupt. He's positioning himself as the head of a network of thieves, going even beyond the Rajapaksas in some ways. At the end of the day, the real problem is the government's silence. Their refusal to act against Ranil Wickremesinghe is exactly what's letting this system of impunity survive. That's where the problem lies.
Ranil Wickremesinghe සම්බන්ධ ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයක් ගන්න මේ ආණ්ඩුව අසමත් වීම තුල. හරි. එතනින් තමයි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙන්නේ.
The Constitutional Council today approved a 30-day service extension for the Acting Auditor General GHD Dharmapala. This decision was made during a meeting of the Constitutional Council held this afternoon, chaired by Speaker Dr. Jagat Vikramaratne. GHD Dharmapala was appointed as the Acting Auditor General for a period of 14 days following the recent retirement of former Auditor General WPC Vikramaratne. Now in more local news, an attempted murder of a businessman in Andiambalam Nayaka failed this morning. The police suspect that Hinatiana Neil, who is a member of an organized crime gang, was involved in the incident.
At around 10 a.m. today, two young men arrived on a motorcycle at the residence of a businessman in Adiambalama, Katunayaka, claiming they had come for a financial transaction. The businessman invited the two into his house. Once inside, the businessman shut the automatic roller gate, locking them in. As both men sat down, one of them suddenly attempted to shoot the businessman. However, the businessman managed to grapple with the suspect holding the gun. Both assailants then attempted to flee but were unable to exit through the gate, which had already been locked. While attempting to scale the wall, one of the suspects fell and injured his leg. Area residents quickly intervened, apprehended him and handed him over to the police. Our reporter confirmed that the suspect suffered an injury to one of his legs as a result of the fall. The second suspect managed to escape. The businessman Anjana Jayawardena is known to operate a lending business, offering loans on interest holding onto vehicle registration certificates as a security.
I was suspicious of the two, so I shut the roller gate and invited them inside. Once they came in and sat down, I asked what the transaction was. When I told them to show me the book, one of them suddenly looked at me in the face, pulled out a weapon and tried to shoot. I immediately grabbed him and wrestled him to the ground. Then the other one pulled out a weapon too, and we got into a scuffle. They both tried to run. One of them attempted to jump over the wall, but fell and broke his leg. I caught him and handed him over to the Katunayaka police.
Police said that there had been a prior dispute between the businessman and an individual named Hinatyan Anil, a known member of an organized crime gang. They suspect that the attempted shooting was carried out by him. According to investigators, the suspect who fled the scene is reportedly linked to multiple murders. A revolver recovered from the suspects along with two magazines believed to have been used with a pistol by the suspect who fled the scene have been seized. Police further confirmed that 4 special police teams are currently conducting investigations under the supervision of an assistant superintendent of police.
Newsfirst with the people.
Agustra Events presents Boys Avenue live in Sri Lanka. Kick it to their biggest hits and takes on the 25th April at Water's Edge 7 onwards. Call 077 69 288 57.
Media sponsors Yes 101, Legends 966 and TV1.
The Holy See Press Office announced that Pope Francis's funeral mass will take place on Saturday the 26th of April in St. Peter's Square. The Pope passed away yesterday at the age of 88 after suffering a stroke that put him in a coma and led his heart to fail.
The Holy See Press Office announced on Tuesday that Pope Francis's funeral mass will take place on Saturday the 26th of April 2025 at 10 a.m. in St. Peter's Square. Cardinal Giovanni, the Dean of the College of Cardinals, will preside at the Mass, which will be concelebrated by patriarchs, cardinals, archbishops, bishops and priests from across the world. The Pope's body is currently laid out in a coffin in the chapel of the Santa Marta residence, where he lived during his 12-year papacy.
Pope Francis, who passed away yesterday, requested a very simple funeral. He changed the rules just last year to avoid any extravagance, and unlike previous popes such as John Paul II and Benedict XVI, who used 3 elaborated coffins, Francis chose a single plain wooden coffin lined with zinc. His body will lie in an open coffin in St. Peter's Basilica, not elevated as before.
Issuing a statement today, the Vatican said the cause of Pope Francis's death has been identified as a stroke, followed by a coma and irreversible cardiocirculatory collapse. The director of the Directorate of Health and Hygiene of the Vatican City State issued the official certification, and the Holy See Press Office released the report. Meanwhile, Cardinal Kevin Farrell, who announced Pope Francis's death, is now the acting head of the Vatican until a new pope is elected.
The cardinal, also known as the Camerlengo, taps the head of the deceased pope 3 times with a silver hammer, saying Bergoglio, the baptismal name of Pope Francis. If there's no response, he officially announces the pope's passing. Today, the same rituals are being carried out in the same way. The doctor who cared for the pope has confirmed his death. Next, the pope's ring is struck with a hammer, broken and destroyed. This marks the end of his papacy, Pope Francis's time as pope, and ensures that his seal will no longer be used on any official documents. Finally, the pope's personal and official chambers are locked and sealed. This is to protect any important confidential documents that may be there, ensuring they don't fall into the wrong hands.
Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of people across the world are mourning the loss of Pope Francis and have also lined up to pay their final respects.
Pope Francis was an extraordinary figure for 1.3 billion Catholics in the world. As the first Latin American pope, he championed peace, care for the poor, and action for climate change. He lived simply at a guest house, feeling like a warm grandfather to millions. He addressed tough issues like church abuse, inspiring people globally. And since his death yesterday from a stroke, thousands have gathered in St. Peter's Square, praying and lighting candles.
The Pope's death triggers 9 days of mourning, originally an ancient Roman custom. Italy also typically declares a period of national mourning. Following the death of Pope Francis, cardinals from around the world will be gathering in Rome to choose a new pontiff.
About 2 to 3 weeks after the Pope has passed, the conclave, the process to elect a new Pope, officially begins. Once the cardinals enter the chapel, the doors are sealed. From that moment on, they are completely cut off from the outside world to preserve the integrity and secrecy of the election. The voting is done with the utmost confidentiality. In Rome, there's a special chimney attached to the chapel. If no candidate receives the required number of votes, the ballots from the round are burned along a certain chemical that produces black smoke. When people outside see the black smoke, they know a new pope has not been chosen yet. But when a pope is elected, the ballots are burned in a way that produces white smoke. That's the moment the crowd watching the St. Peter's Square sees the white smoke rising, and they know that a new pope has been chosen. Only then are the chapel doors opened and the announcement of the new pope begins.
Only cardinals under the age of 80 are allowed to participate in the conclave and cast their vote for the new pope. Currently, of the 252 cardinals, there are 135 cardinal electors, 53 from Europe, 23 from Asia, 20 from North America, 18 from Africa, 17 from South America, and 4 from Oceania.
Devotees from across the country continued to pour into Candi to venerate the sacred tooth relic of the Lord Buddha. The veneration that began at 11 continued until 5:30 p.m. today. The police announced that over 80,000 devotees have already queued up in Candi for the 6th day of veneration of the sacred relics that falls tomorrow.
Arrangements have been made to provide all facilities required for devotees who have availed themselves of this rare opportunity to venerate the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha.
स्वर्ण पद्म गर्भ साधु सुधर्म मंडपे
विजय रत्नोत्तर धरनाल भाई अभी जाएगा अभी मैं आत्मे जाएगा था वो महाराज हमें घेना आते में रत्नोत्तर बीच निरोगी धंधा के बंद है अभी जाएगा था कि खातू चाहिए.
We are so happy to be here, and we thank you for the Sri Lankan people and Candi's people to give us the opportunity. This respect to the Buddha relics, and we are so happy so much. Go back home and we tell our people in Thailand that this place is very warm welcome and it's very respect place.
A large number of devotees visited the temple of the tooth today and venerated the tooth relic with great joy after having fulfilled a long life desire.
අවුරුදු 8කින් මේ වගේ මට දළදා මාසේ වැද පුදා ගන්න ලැබිච්ච එක ගැන ගොඩක් සතුටු තියෙනවා.
ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම කියනවා නම් එහෙම මේ වගේ අවස්ථාවක් මම මේ පළවෙනි වතාවට මට දැන් අවුරුදු 55ක් වෙනවා. ඒත් පළවෙනි අවස්ථාව තමයි මේ වැද පුදා ගන්න අවස්ථාවක් ලැබුණේ.
ඒ කියන්න බෑ වචන මගේ ජීවමාන බුදු පියාණන් වහන්සේ මගේ අද ඇස් දෙකෙන් දැක්කා.
ධර්ම රාජ දන්ත ධාතු වන්දනා
සද්ධාව හිතේ තබාගෙන මේ බාධක මැඩගෙන ඉදිරියට කින් ටික වන්දනා කටයුතු සඳහා සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න.
We also met a venerable Thera from Myanmar.
I'm come to Myanmar. We are very happy because this very difficult to worship in this Dadu. That is why we are now came to here. So nearly 9 years now. So we are now this and past time. This is very happy to this watch.
Yes, I'm very happy to pay respect to there about it Dadus.
Sanvedana sadna mavaniyu.
Many people volunteered and provided essential items to devotees who were waiting in line to venerate the sacred relics. Even foreign nationals were seen providing essential items to devotees. This is a family that came to venerate the sacred tooth relic from Pilimatalave.
පිල්මතලාවින්දලා මම මේ දෙන්නම බස් එකේ අන්තිම අල්ලලා එක්කරගෙන ආවා නංගාගෙන. දන්ත ධාතු මහත්තේ මගේ මහත්තර ගොඩාක් ආසයි තිබ්බා බලන්න. යන් කියලා දැන් දවස් ගාණක් කියනවා.
Now, the police media division has announced that over 80,000 devotees have arrived in Candi city as of 6 p.m. today, and that number is expected to exceed 100,000 by tomorrow morning. Now, the statement by the police media division also warned that the crowd may continue to grow throughout the day tomorrow as well. Due to the high number of people expected, the public is advised to avoid visiting Candi tomorrow and to plan their visit for a later date.
The local government election Sri Lanka 2025.
The SJP UMP conflict has flared up once again. General Secretary of the United National Party, Thalathatha Korala, yesterday accused opposition leader Sajith Premadasa of preventing the two parties from uniting. Today, MP SM Marikar responded on behalf of the Samagi Janabalavega. He said that his party would never be a part of the plan to make Sagala Ratnayaka the mayoral candidate for Colombo.
General Secretary of the United National Party, Thalathatha Korala, voiced her criticism of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa's recent actions at a meeting held at the party headquarters yesterday.
Ranjit Madhuma Bandara from the Samagi Jana Balavegya met with him. Kabir Hashim also met with him. He gave us the opportunity to explore ways to move forward and even appointed representatives. Vijay Vardhana was one of them. We held discussions at our house trying to find common ground, but for some reason those efforts eventually fell apart. No matter how clearly you try to explain it, the leader of the Samagi Jana Balavegya, Sajith Premadasa, simply refuses to understand. The responsibility for the current situation lies entirely with Sajith Premadasa, not with the historic leaders who have shaped this country. Let me remind you, Sajith Premadasa is someone who fails to acknowledge the contributions of others. He is a man who quickly forgets his roots. Keep that in mind. We were given the responsibility of conveying a message that those committed to protecting grassroots level politics should at least come together for this election. Accordingly, after our discussions, when it became clear that the MPs from the parties who were engaging with us risked losing their parliamentary seats, both the deputy leader and I decided to leave it be. The leader made every effort until the very last moment. We even ensured that our influence was consistently held in the capital and the most significant city, Colombo. But when it was time to make a real effort to unite and build a strong team, he didn't rise to the occasion.
SJP MP SM Marika responded to these accusations, emphasising why there was a need to make Sagala Ratnayaka the mayor of Colombo.
පළවෙනි ආරම්භයේ විදියට එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරන්න ඕන කියලා කිව්වහම
when the United National Party initially said they wanted to hold discussions, Sajith Premadasa agreed. Ranil Wickremesinghe has a hidden agenda. Do you know what he was trying to do this time? While we were sincere, Ranil Wickremesinghe's intentions were not sincere. The SJP do not have a network of provincial councils even after facing 3 elections. This election will create 2,000 or 3,000 provincial councillors, and his first goal is to break that up. Secondly, his intention was to make Sagala Ratnayaka the mayor of Colombo Municipal Council. Listen carefully, we are not fools to get involved in those schemes. They came up with a cylinder combining the Pahotua, the chair and everything else. Who brought unofficial individuals to discussions? Was it us? The United National Party doesn't have votes. What they had yesterday wasn't a conference. It was a small program where they brought candidates from Kaluthara and Colombo, organised by Ranil Wickremesinghe. The intention is to destroy this. Can we agree to make Sagala Ratnayaka the mayor? They should have spoken to us before the presidential election, saying, let's discuss how to win our presidential election. They didn't think of it back then. His only intention was to defeat Sajith Premadasa and crush the Samagi Jana Balavegya. He tried to defeat us, knowing he would lose. Are we puppets to do as they say?
එතුමා පරදින බව දැන දැන ඉල්ලුවේ මේ අපිව පරද්දන්නනේ. මේ ඒගොල්ලෝ කියන විදිහට නටන්න මේ අපි රූකඩද?
The government today responded to the accusations levelled by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, who said that the government is being deceitful.
The opposition leader expressed these views today in Devinura Matara.
The people of this country entrusted the leadership to Anura on an auspicious occasion. But today, in the very country that was handed over to him on that special day, politics based on lies is thriving. A false narrative is being promoted that a prosperous nation and a better life are being built. While the system is supposedly being reformed, it has instead turned into one that is sustained by deceit. Do you remember the promises about electricity tariffs? They promised that a 9,000 rupee bill would be cut down to 6,000 and a 3,000 rupee bill to 2,000. They even said electricity bills would be reduced by 33%. Yet, as soon as they took power, they told the country that electricity rates wouldn't change for 6 months. This frustrated the public, and rightfully so. They voiced their concerns, they criticised. Finally, after engaging with the Public Utilities Commission and pushing for profits of the Ceylon Electricity Board to be shared with consumers, the electricity bill was reduced by at least 20%. But that reduction wasn't the result of any action taken by President Andrakumar Nayaka.
Is what the opposition leader is saying accurate? Here is the response from the cabinet spokesperson.
When we took office, they claimed that we wouldn't allow the Dalada Vandana, that people couldn't offer dansals to temples or even freely practice religion. who spread these lies. These political figures misled the public by falsely representing us. Some media outlets and social media platforms gave space to these misleading claims, but it's now clear that these were nothing but lies. We promised to reduce electricity bills, and we've delivered on that promise, reducing domestic electricity rates by 20%. We also cut electricity bills for industries by 28 to 31%. Look at how much the price of oil has dropped since we took over in September. The people have benefited from reductions in electricity rates, fuel prices and many other goods and services during this festive season. On one hand, government employees and pensioners received increased financial support, and on the other, the prices of several essential goods and services have decreased. Whether certain media outlets choose to acknowledge it or not, the people of this country have experienced relief during the festive period. We are systematically rebuilding this nation, which had been left in financial ruin. In an era when previous governments claimed it was impossible to increase salaries or provide government jobs, we have already started creating 30,000 new jobs. We will fulfill the promises we made on time and in full. Feel free to ask me about these matters at the end of May.
Deputy Minister Mahinda Jayasinghe also responded to the opposition leader's statement.
I've seen Sajid making several claims across various platforms in recent days, accusing us of constantly lying. I don't have the time to respond to all the lies they have spread. They said we would only have a week or two in office, that we lacked experience. But in just 5 months, we've stabilized the economy and are now guiding the country in the right direction. Their platforms were where every possible lie was told. The people of this country rejected the lies you spread on the 21st September and 14th November. Now, there are just 14 days left until the 6th May. Until then, they'll continue to make whatever claims they wish on their platforms. While we hold public meetings, Sajid holds private discussions. Just as we clean this corrupt government, I encourage you to join us in empowering the compass in every local government institution across the nation to strengthen the compass as we move forward.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasooriya stressed the need for good, honest and incorruptible local councils. She was speaking at an event organised by the NPP ahead of the local government election.
In 2024, we started this journey. It's barely 6 months now since the presidential election, maybe 5.5 months since the parliamentary election, and we've begun to fulfill the responsibility that you have placed on us, and we have done our best to protect the mandate that you have given us and to deliver on the promises that we made to you. You made that change at the top. You cleaned the executive presidency, you cleaned the parliament, you returned, you sent home many that you thought represented an old and rejected political culture, and you chose a new path, a new journey with us. I know that for some of you, you must be now a bit sick of elections. This is the third election in 6 months. Quite understandable that many of you might have election fatigue. But I just want to say that this is also an extremely critical election, because in many ways, the decisions we make at the top, the policy decisions we make at the top, to have a real impact at the ground level, to really have an impact on the people at an everyday level, we need good local councils. We need honest local councils. We need incorruptible local councils. We also need the local council to be aligned with the political culture and the policies at the top. If there's a misalignment, if there are contradictions, it makes it very difficult to implement things that we design from the top, to implement it at the local level. But most importantly, I think this journey that we have started, especially with regard to cleaning our political culture, particularly with regard to ensuring that our political culture is accountable and transparent to the people, and making sure that democracy works for people, and that democracy is not just about going and casting your vote, but also about listening to people, to engaging with people, to making your leaders, your elected leaders, more accountable and more approachable. That journey that we started in 2024 must continue.
Rai Candi Baltasar, the Colombo mayoral candidate from the National People's Power, made a compelling case for change in the city's governance.
We've dealt with years of corruption, with years of nepotism, with years of trying to get the simplest of things done. The CMC has a budget of 30 billion rupees, not million, but 30 billion rupees. And we know that this is perhaps the reason why so many mantris are now trying to, former local government members are now clamoring to get back in. Because we know that this is a system that they have worked in and this is a system that they have exploited. The NPP today is offering you something different. We are going to offer you our team. Not an individual from a particular race, but a team of very capable, able, efficient, empathetic, caring folk whose real purpose is to put the citizen of the city first. So you want an efficient system. You want a system that when you go into the council, you're not kept waiting 2 months, 3 months to get something done. You don't want a system that means that you have to pay out of your pocket an amount that is not necessarily a part of the service that you're being given. To be quite frank, you don't want to give bribes. Because you want to retain that for your business. You're running a clean business. You need a clean service. If you're not able to do that, then I think the CMC over time has failed in being able to do its job. So what the NPP is offering, I think, is just that. What we want to give you is a clean, efficient system that will be something that you have desired.
Colombo mayoral candidate from the Samagi Jana Balavagia, Dr. Ruiz Hanifa, emphasized that the 2025 local government election should not be taken lightly or underestimated.
We have already served the rice onto the plate. We've also added a few curries. Now it's up to you to eat all of it on the 6th. Please go ahead and eat it. Only then will you truly taste the flavor. If you mess it up, we won't be there to clean it up. You will have to clean up the mess by yourselves. So I urge you, don't treat this election as a joke. Don't take it lightly.
This is what the SLPP had to say.
The wind has already swept across the villages. By the evening of the 6th, when the local government election results are out, the nation will clearly see which direction the winds are blowing. The people of this country should remain patient until the 6th. By then, the direction of the country's future will be decided. People's mandate is changing because the things people hoped for aren't happening. The people are waiting for promises made to be fulfilled. But when delays keep piling up, people realize it's been a lie all this while. We truly believe that the people will eventually choose the right direction.
US stocks and the dollar have plunged again as President Donald Trump intensified his attacks on the US central bank boss, calling him a quote-unquote major loser for not lowering interest rates.
In a social media post, US President Donald Trump called on Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to cut interest rates preemptively to help boost the economy, saying Powell had been consistently too slow to respond to economic developments. Trump's criticism of Powell's handling of the US economy comes as his own plans for tariffs have driven a stock market sell-off and raised fears of economic recession. The president's intensifying clash with Powell, whom he named to lead the Fed during his first term, has added to the market turmoil. The S&P 500, which tracks 500 of the biggest US companies, fell roughly 2.4% yesterday. It has lost roughly 12% of its value since the start of the year. Meanwhile, the dollar index, which measures the strength of the dollar against a set of currencies including the euro, fell to its lowest level since 2022. Meanwhile, the price of gold also hit a new all-time record high.
The Adams Bridge sand dunes off the Manor Islands will officially open to visitors starting from the 15th of May.
We wrap up news tonight with happy headlines.
Thank you very much for tuning in. Good night.
A decision was made during a meeting in Mannar today to permit public access to the sand dunes of Adams Bridge, also known as Rama's Bridge or Ram Setu of Mannar Islands. The meeting was attended by officials from the Northern Province Tourism Bureau, the Mannar District Department of Wildlife Conservation, the Divisional Secretary, the Navy, Police and local fisheries associations. From the 15th of May, visitors will have the opportunity to explore and enjoy the sand dunes of the Mannar Islands.